like I told you in the email, it's like, so accounting issues in China companies are chronic. So why, why?
So Alex, I was like reading your cover over the weekend, and it was very interesting because we have kind of known that the China companies are a little bit in trouble, and you said something amazing, that how much have they lost of their market cap? 90%
Yes.
since their listings.
Yes.
Isn't that scary?
Yes, it is scary.
It's very scary, isn't it? And you talk about this trust deficit between the accounting gap and what is actually displayed on their books. So, how can they close this gap? I mean, how can investors trust them again?
At the end of the day, it's up to the Chinese authority to close the gap, really.
Really? So it's up to them, but there's nothing we can do.
There's nothing much we can do. The most we can do is to delist them, I would say, yeah. Like what happened in the US.
Yeah, so in the US you do mention, and this kind of metric staggered me. 100 firms were listed, but a bulk of them are already gone, right? Because they weren't up to par. So why do they keep getting listed? Why do we keep going back, or people keep thinking about red chips?
It's kind of out of flavor in recent years.
All right.
Yeah, everywhere.
But
except for the big guys like state-owned companies and the really, really big guys like Alibaba.
Yeah. Is it just that people just want the growth story, especially for China? Is that why when you look at like red chips, there's still that, when after the initial IPO, there's still the interest in them?
Yeah, when people invest in red chips, they are investing in the stories of Chinese growth, which is used to be the fastest growing economy in the world.
Yeah.
But it turned out that most of these companies have accounting issues. So their accounts are not reliable, are not trustworthy. So the story is not so robust anymore.
Have they gotten the message yet that if you don't shape up, or at least your books don't match, nobody's going to buy you? Or they still think that the growth is good enough story? I mean, when you were doing your research.
Basically, foreign regulator can't access to their books in China because there is a case in the US. The SEC and the accounting bodies in the US, they wanted to have access to the Chinese book.
Yeah.
But the Chinese Ministry of Finance rejected them because of the citing jurisdictions issue, sovereignty issues.
But if they keep doing that, nobody is going to trust them.
I think for China government, I think the intention is to keep the companies listed within China mainland.
I see.
Yeah.
Then
to
why
develop their own financial markets.
Yeah, but then why do people keep going out? There must be a reason why people keep going outside.
Yes, because of the underdevelopment of financial market in China.
Yeah.
A lot of private company cannot have access to the funding and financing in China.
All right.
Yeah, so they could not get the bank loans, which are mostly used to fund the China state-owned companies or the big companies.
Right.
So they have no choice and they have to turn to the overseas listing to seek foreign capital.
Let's say if I have a China company, I want to list with you now. How do you get people back? I mean, how
It's very difficult at the moment.
Yeah.
Because the trust is not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially for Malaysia as well, in terms of the trust. And you did this fantastic kind of piece where you saw that, this long list of troubles, every one of them has had issues. And we didn't have space for the price chart, but I looked at some of it before we came in. And what does it look like? It looks like 45-degree angles,
No
right?
dive, yeah.
Will Bursa eventually delist any of these guys, do you think?
The one that might be delisted would be Multisport Holding Limited,
Which is already suspended, right?
which is already suspended. A lot of the principals officers have already resigned, and then the secretary firms also left.
Oh, that's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then, okay, now on the flip side of that, who can you trust? Because I looked at the whole thing. Is it true that the only China companies you can trust are either the state-owned guys or Bank of China,
Yes.
for example, or the big guys like Alibaba or
Yes.
Tencent? Is that the only ones that you found in your research that you can trust?
That's apparently that's the case.
Apparently, that seems to be the case. But
Yeah.
Alibaba has had troubles also. They've also had NYSE issues. I mean, are there any China companies that are completely clean now?
Completely clean up. We cannot say for 100% for sure, yeah.
But there's an interesting case that you said Kanga as well. What's the case with Kanga?
Out of the 11 China-based company, Kanga is the only one that could maintain their share price above the IPO price. Partially because of the market talks of RTO.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but is that the only way that you can get sort of like interest?
Yes, it's pretty significant and it's pretty material because you have a totally new business, and then it will be a game changer for them to inject new lease of life into these Chinese companies.
Should investors look at? I mean, investors, yes, they should look at their own, their own interests. But would they run?
Unlikely in the long run, unless the trust issue is resolved. But the thing is, I think a lot of them might not want to be listed on Bursa Malaysia in the first place because given the past performance of the China-based company, they might be terrified of getting listed here.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.